From the octagon fire to the studio mics, tune in weekly, we're dropping the spikes, analyzing every punch, every kick that lands, maniacs in the game, playing with fans' demands. Ken's got the insight, Joe's got the flair, mapping out the fights will take you anywhere. So grab your popcorn, buckle up tight.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
What's up, guys? We're back on the MMAniacs Podcast, and joined once again by he's got the bearded Packers
I'm fucking getting there.
But we're joined once again by my compadre, Bare Knuckle Ken. It's good to have you back, bud.
Buddy.
You know, we the show missed you. You know, it's not the same when you got one guy trying to talk. You know, you got to have. You know, we got a good chemistry going, I feel like, and so it's good to have you back. You know, we got a lot to talk about today.
Oh, before we
ahead.
get into that, my buddy had shared a video with me, and I think it's a decent talking point for opening up the show. We were watching a video, and it's obviously in a gym and during some type of grappling class. I'm going to assume jiu-jitsu, but could be something else too, but whatever. You see a guy put a heel hook in and not just use the heel hook as a submission in training, but sat there and just wrenched on it, and you heard the pop all the way up that other guy's freaking leg, and you were getting a debate, and by debate, I mean, I've only heard one person say in favor of it. Everybody else talking about how much of an asshole this guy is for, you know, hey, if you do it in a fight, hey, you know, it sucks for that guy, but oh well. But to do it training, like, tell me if I'm wrong here, but don't a lot of gyms not want you to use the heel hook pretty much at all, just because of how dangerous it is, that you pretty much got like that much play before you destroy somebody's fucking life?
Yeah. So I can't speak for every gym out there because I don't know how other gyms are. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact, like I was talking to a guy and he was like, yeah, we use all kinds of leg locks in our gym. We train leg locks and we train heel hooks and stuff like that, like in sparring. My gym, we do not, because of the danger. Like, we're all there. I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think when you get into the ultra competitive gyms where it's like they're training for competition, I think you'll get a lot more of that. But my gym is like, we have guys that compete, and we're always on the podium. Our academy is always on the podium. So, you know, the jiu-jitsu works, but our focus is more on self-defense, old school jiu-jitsu. Like, so I'm glad you brought this up because it actually leads into an interesting conversation about jiu-jitsu. Like, there's not just one jiu-jitsu, right? Like, and what I mean by that is, like, you have different styles. Like with the Gracies, you have the Hoist Gracie style or versus the Carlson style, right? They're two different styles. Hoist's side of the family is much more focused on defense, tiring a guy, waiting for him to make a mistake and then strangle him. Whereas Carlson's philosophy was, no, you can be offensive in jiu-jitsu and, you know, heavy top pressure. And I've said this many times, one of Carlson's favorite philosophies was make it so uncomfortable that the guy gives you the position so you stop hurting him. You know, make it hurt so much that he's like, okay, will you please just pass my guard and stop hurting me, right?
Yeah.
So that's one difference, right? But now there's old school jiu-jitsu and there's the new tournament jiu-jitsu, right? Because there's inevitably, you know, jiu-jitsu is an art, and art always evolves, right? When you get so many artists, everybody's going to have their own take, right? There's going to be guys that are particularly master artists or particularly good artists that are going to put their own touch on the art, right? And so there's old school jujitsu, which my professor is very much a proponent of old school jujitsu because it's nuts and bolts. It works. It's time honored. It's time tested. It still works today. Carlson Gracie jujitsu still wins medals, still wins championships. So why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But there are schools, academies out there that they teach this newfangled stuff that is for tournaments only. It's like it's taking advantage of tournament rules. We're talking about jujitsu, so and it has its proponents, like guys like Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones, like they believe in like the evolution of the sport, and I'm not against it. Just to be clear, but this goes into that. Like, if you're in one of those highly competitive gyms, then yeah, where everybody's competing and the school is very much about competing, then I wouldn't be surprised because if you don't train leg locks and then you go to a tournament and you get leg locked, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Like, we don't do that in training. Like, and they're going to be like, well, tough shit. Jiu-jitsu works anywhere you go, man. But let's be realistic here. If a guy's got a gun, yeah, you should probably do what he tells you, like, and if he's going to shoot you, he's going to shoot you. But to say that jiu-jitsu doesn't work is, I would say, go to your nearest BJJ gym and go for a trial class and see how that works out for you. What's up, Brent? Good to have you. So in my gym, like I was saying, my professor is like, don't even worry about leg locks until you get to brown belt, dude. Like, it's not white belt shit. And there's a reason, because if I'm a white belt, let's even a 4-stripe like I am, and let's say I go heel hook a guy a 2-stripe, right? I don't have the mastery of leg locks to where I know how much pressure I can put on a guy before his ankle snaps. And the last thing, I mean, in my gym, we're a family. Like, we all have either kids or jobs. We have a life outside of jiu-jitsu that we all want to get back to, but we want to train. I would feel terrible if I injured somebody, like, especially doing some asshole shit like cranking a freaking an ankle lock.
You want to hear the worst part about it is it was a blue belt pretty much against a complete novice, like a entry-level white belt.
That guy is firmly in the asshole territory, like, firmly. There's no doubt about it. Like, if you're a blue belt, what the fuck are you doing heel hooking a white belt to begin with? Like, if you're a blue belt, you should be able to beat this guy any which way you want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a blue belt. I'm a 4-stripe white belt, and I can beat pretty much all of the striped white belts in my class. Just using sweeps, pressure, like that kind of thing. I can pretty much beat a good chunk of them. And the no stripers, oh man, that's like candy, But the last thing I'm gonna do is go heel hook a guy, especially like, because Professor has been so adamant about it. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, he's taught us leg locks. He's taught us, because certain positions, when you're doing a certain position, when you're going over it, Professor will be like, jiu-jitsu is about options, right? And that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu, is that for every position, there's tons of options, right? So I'm going to show you this as an option, but, I would prefer if you don't use it on your training partners, because you don't have the control for it, right? So all that to say, in my gym, we don't heel hook unless it's like a brown belt doing it to another brown belt. browns and black belts can heel hook, but other than that, Professor really wants us to focus on technique, on position, on control, on pressure, sweeps, and there's plenty of other submissions that are less dangerous than heel hooks, because heel hooks, one of the things that makes heel hooks so dangerous is the guy's first instinct once you heel hook him is to roll. So you guys end up in this like alligator death roll, right? And so what are you going to do? If the guy rolls on you, you're going to twist the ankle harder to try to get the tap, right? And the next thing you know, it's like the guy's foot is facing the other way. Like it's just not, and his knee is destroyed. So yeah, dude, I'm firmly in that guy's an asshole camp, especially with the context of he's a blue belt and he just snapped a newbie white belt's fucking ankle and knee. That's horrible, dude.
Yeah, and this wasn't the usual, I'm applying a submission while we're training, so it's low and slow. This was pretty much grip and rip.
Yeah, see, that in itself, heel hooks aside, that in itself is an asshole maneuver, right? Like, that's why Professor wants us to focus on control, focus on pinning and controlling and being in control when you go for submissions, right? So that you can do it low and slow, and you can be controlled with it. You're not ripping this guy's shoulder out in an armbar or snapping his elbow in half because you want to get a meaningless tap. You don't even win a medal for it, guys. It's just nobody counts gym victories, right? So it's yeah, I would not want to train with a guy like that, and probably none of the guys in my gym would want to train with a guy like that. And if somebody happened to do something like that, there would be one of the mat enforcers would be over there to take care of him. Like there would probably be a high stripe purple or a brown belt to go over there and teach him a lesson. So yeah, it's but it's funny, like, I'm glad that you actually brought up jiu-jitsu because, today we were working in half guard, right? And we were doing this underhook pass, underhook back take. And so you underhook, you slide up, you can envision it, right? Half guard. So you have the triangle on the leg, you have it trapped. Like you basically, you hip escape, you underhook, and then you swim his arm up over you like that, and then you jump up, and you get to his back, you open his gi, take the opposite collar, opposite lapel, but not collar, like down in the middle, and then you set a trap and you take his back, right? And then once you take the back, you have all kinds of options for chokes but so today I was training with Daniel with that D1 wrestler, and Professor came over and when I had him like this, Daniel was like tucking his chin, and Professor was like, hey, anything from here down is snacks. And I was like, he's like, the nose, brushed his teeth out, like whatever, right? Like he's talking about in competition, not in training, right? Yeah. But he's like, if the guy wants to tuck his chin and he wants, if he wants it the hard way, basically give him the hard way, like cross face, like break,
pretty much grind the shit out of his nose with your forearm.
Yeah, with your inside forearm. Yeah. And he's like, break his nose, break his jaw, bust his teeth out, whatever, like. And so me and Daniel were laughing because he said everything from here down is snacks, right? Or at least that's what we thought he said. Then we, like in the next, after we were done practicing that technique, he explained it to the class and he said, no, everything from here down is neck. So as far as the tournament goes, like he's saying this is legal. Like you can crush their nose, you can crush their jaw. But when Daniel and I went back to training, we were like, I kind of like snacks better. Like everything from here down is snacks. It just sounds much more savage, right?
Yep.
Me and Daniel were laughing about that. But yeah, dude, it's all I can say is be a good training partner. You know, like everybody wants to get home to their families and people got to work. You know, we're not doing this to, unless you're a 22-year-old guy, like none of us are winning ADCCs. You know what I mean? We're not going to world championships. We're doing this for physical health, mental health, and some self-defense, you know? So just be a good training partner. It's not hard to not be a dick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of my point of what I was telling my buddy with it. Because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm a absolute novice when it comes to most of this. I have tiny amounts of stuff I've been shown. Is that even in competitions, that the heel hook is kind of frowned upon? That, yeah, it's legal and all that, but a lot of times you catch flack for it. At least that's what I've kind of picked up from what some of the stuff I've seen in that.
Yeah, look, it's if you're a brown belt, it's not frowned upon because you've trained it enough. If you're a blue belt and you're heel hooking people, I mean, it's effective, it wins, but it's just very dangerous. Like, there's not just one video of a guy getting his ankle and knee destroyed for a $5 medal. Like, there's many videos, dude. Many, many, many videos on YouTube. So, but some guys are just ultra competitive and they're like, I'm going to take home this $5 medal, whether I have to snap your ankle completely off or not. And, like I get the competition aspect of it. I'm not there to do this guy any favors. We're competing against each other. And I'll say this, a jiu-jitsu tournament match is about as close to a real fight as you're going to get without being in a real fight, right? Like you're cranking subs. Like in a tournament, you crank subs. It's not, oh, I'm going to try to be controlled. And no, dude, like this guy is there to hurt you or not hurt you, but he's there to win and to win. And if you get hurt, sorry, but so yeah, you're not going to get a lot of mercy from them. And I think that goes into it. The mentality is like, well, I'm not going to expect any mercy from this guy. I'm not going to expect him to try to make sure we both get out of here healthy. So I got to kind of be the same way, but yeah, blue belt heel hooks, I don't know. It's like a fancy new toy, like the blue belts are like, oh, I'm a blue belt. I know these heel hooks. Like they want to, it's effective. It's very effective, but it's also just extremely dangerous. And even in a tournament, if I snap some dude's ankle, I'm going to feel bad about it. Just because I know this guy wants to train on Monday. You know what I mean? He wants to go to his gym and train just like me. So yeah. For me, I say no, but I'm not the spokesperson for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody has their own.
I was just looking for your opinion on it because you have more experience in the world than I do.
Yeah. No, but I just want to throw out there like that. My opinion is not the opinion, right? Like you ask 10 different people, you're going to probably get, a 50-50 or maybe I think it would slightly lean more towards my side of it, where people kind of tend to frown upon it, especially in training, to kind of frown upon heel hooks or leg locks in general, just because of the level of danger. But there's always that guy, So anyways, back to we're going to get into the card because we got two good cards coming up, right? 324 is coming up in a couple weeks. Let's go through that. Let's start at the bottom of the main card.
All right, you got Gene Silva versus Arnold Allen.
So you remember Jean Silva, what he did to Bryce Mitchell, right? And then he got knocked out by Diego Lopez, right? Like, I mean, took a nasty, I think it was a nasty spinning elbow, or got knocked out. So now he's trying to kind of rebuild his stock because he was, he was on his way. If he had beat Diego, he probably would have been next in line for a title shot. Arnold Allen, on the other hand, he's a really tough dude, right? Like he's one of those scrappy veteran journeyman kind of guys, but not necessarily a journeyman record, right? Like he's got a good record. But he's not, to me, he's not elite at anything. Okay. But he's very well rounded. Like he can grapple, strike, like he can do all these things. It's kind of it's going to be an interesting fight to me, at least, because is Arnold Allen going to try to wrestle him? Does he want to stand up with John Silva? I don't know. But, Silva has even standing submissions, like we just saw him do to Bryce Mitchell a year ago, so it's a compelling fight. The winner will bump himself up into that top 5 territory, maybe not into the top 5, but, like number 6, where their next fight is going to be a top 5 opponent. So it's a big opportunity for both of them. Have you seen Arnold Allen fight?
No, that's what I was about to say, is if I have seen him fight, I don't really remember the guy. So this is one that I can't really speak on just because I damn near know nothing about him.
Okay. Well, we can come back to that one next week then. You can go watch a couple of his fights and see, break down his striking, and we'll talk more about that one next week. So what's the next one?
Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Yeah. So the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, still at it. Cortez Acosta, if I'm thinking of the right guy, no, that's Teixeira. Okay. The heavyweight division is just so unappealing right now, dude.
I was just talking to my buddy about this shit probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, dude. It's just
he's one of those that wants to see 2 behemoths going at it. Pretty much like the old school, well, not old school, but the 90s boxing style type of thing, where the heavyweights should be the best of the best type of thing. And I told him now that's not the case.
That's not the UFC right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. The heavyweight division has had its time in the sun, and it ebbs and flows, man. Like that's the thing about the UFC is the weight classes are constantly changing and evolving, so that one weight class is the dominant weight class, like the most talented weight class for a while. Then those guys age out and another weight class takes over. Right now, it's kind of the twilight of the heavyweight division, and the heavyweight division needs a new influx of talent. We're still dealing with the same 10 guys in the top 10, Derek Lewis and Alexander Volkov, and we're still dealing with these same 10 guys, and I don't know. I'm hoping it gets better, but it's good news for Tom Aspinall when he comes back, because he has a chance to really go on a run if he can get by Cyril Gane. So what's the next fight?
Would be Sean O'Malley versus San Yandan.
So you remember in Jurassic Park when they tied the goat up for the Velociraptors?
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what this fight is, dude. Like they are sacrificing Song Yadong to Sean O'Malley to get into the rankings because Merab lost his belt. And I'm going to look, now that Petr Yan is the champion, right? Sean O'Malley, on paper, has a victory over Petr Yan by decision. It was a terrible decision in many people's eyes. Many people felt Petr Yan, he actually had quite a string, like probably 3 or 4 decisions that were highly questionable, right? Like there was a time when Piotr Jan was like, he was on like a 3 or 4 fight losing streak in these really tight decisions, and he should have won probably the majority of them. Sean O'Malley being one of them, right? But do you for 1 second think that if O'Malley dusts Song Yadong, that he's not going to be fighting for that belt against Piotr Jan next? Like, if you don't, let me go ahead and break the news to you, right? Like, Sean O'Malley, if he beats Song Yadong, I 100% believe he will be fighting for the belt next. Does he deserve it? No. I'm going to go ahead and say no. But does Dana want to put the belt back on him because he's entertaining and he's a superstar? Yes. Money makes the world go around. So, I don't like his chances against Piotr Jan in the rematch, though. I got to tell you, the way Piotr Jan looked against Merab, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, and especially with the way that Merab wiped the floor with Sean O'Malley.
Well, you're using MMA math right now, and that's not.
MMA
math usually doesn't work, but I think this is one time where you can actually use some MMA math because Sean got dominated in the grappling, right? Absolutely dominated. And then Piotr Jan went and dominated Merab in the grappling. So what makes anyone think that Sean is going to survive that match?
Oh, yeah, because if I'm Peter Jan, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not letting him sit out there on his bicycle and take little pot shots at will and win by points. I'm bringing this sumbitch down to the mat, and let's see if you've learned anything in your little time off.
Well, I don't think this fight is going 5 rounds to begin with, dude. Like, I don't think it is. But because Sean is going to look to knock him out, and Piotr Jan, like, maybe Sean survives and just gets smashed for 5. The only way the fight goes 5 rounds is if Piotr Jan just humps him up and down the fucking cage. And by humps, I don't mean like a lay and pray kind of situation. I mean just absolutely like dolphin rape caves him, to like, that's the only way I could see it going 5 rounds is Sean just has unbelievable grit and survives. But yeah, Song Yadong, he's a decent enough fighter, but he's sort of tailor-made for Sean O'Malley in this. And I think that this is very, very cynical matchmaking. It's like, it's very predictable. They're feeding Sean another striker to try to get him back into that top 5, to get him back towards a title shot. But we have the 2 main card fights, which are going to be interesting.
Yep, you got Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison.
So I talked about this ad nauseum last week, right? So I want to hear what you think about this fight.
This is going to be a hell of an entertaining fight because not only are you getting the legacy fight of it and all, but these two are relatively still close to their prime. Granted, they're at the tail end of the career, but it's not like how we saw with like Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, that we didn't get this till they were well past over the freaking hump. I cannot wait to see what the hell happens here, because from watching if anybody's a returning viewer and from watching these shows, they know that I have an affinity for Kayla Harris just because of how absolutely dominating she's been. But man, Amanda Nunes is a motherfucker. There's a reason why she's already kind of considered the GOAT here. And the reason we're talking about Kayla Harrison possibly being the GOAT is that if she beats her. Now, granted, that's not taken away from Kayla Harrison's accomplishments at all, because like I said, I'm a big fan of hers. but you're facing a legit legend with this one.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up an interesting thing with the GOAT conversation, because I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. If Kayla beats Amanda, I don't think she's the GOAT. I don't think Kayla ascends to the GOAT status by beating Amanda, because Amanda's been beat before. Amanda's been beat by Juliana Pena. She's been beat by Kat Zingano. In my opinion, and the opinion of about 50% of MMA fans, she should have lost the decision to Valentina Shevchenko. Amanda's got some losses to some pretty mediocre, or maybe mediocre is a bad word, non-elite competition, right? Amanda has a tendency at times to fight down to the level of her competition. The Juliana Pena fight, the first one being a perfect example of that. And I like Juliana Pena. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on her. Like, she's a tough girl. And she, I respect her game, but she is in no universe anywhere near as good of a fighter as Amanda Nunes is. She's just not. And the fact that she holds a win over Amanda, to me, is kind of a stain on Amanda's legacy. But I don't think Kayla, if she beats Amanda, now I'm in the minority here, because I'm sure, that they're going to market the shit out of this as it's the GOAT fight, the women's GOAT, right? But to me, Valentina has already surpassed Amanda, in my opinion, because of the quality of her wins, the length of her title reign. She has 2 title reigns now with multiple defenses. She just absolutely dominated Zhang Weili, like dominated, dude. 50-45. Did anybody in the world see a 50-45 coming?
Absolutely not.
No. You might have thought, if you were leaning Valentina, you thought, well, she's probably not going to knock her out or submit her. It's going to be a 48-47, a very close fight, right? 50-45, dude. Absolutely just shut her out.
I thought Zhang Weili was going to absolutely dog walk her in the stand-up game. That this would have been a fight that was over relatively quickly. And holy shit, did I get proven wrong with that one.
Not only did Valentina dominate the grappling, but she also dominated the striking, which it wasn't some where she was like knocking Zhang Weili all over the ring and this and that. No, but what did she do? She controlled the range. She dictated the pace. She didn't allow Zhang to get off, which it was a masterclass, dude. It was an absolute masterclass performance by Valentina. So with that said, I am in the camp that Valentina is the women's GOAT at this point. But I'm in the minority there. I know people love Amanda, and but this fight, whether it's for the women's GOAT status or not, is going to be a fantastic fight. Because, and I agree with you, but I want to hear from you. Tell me why this is going to be an entertaining fight.
Oh.
Like, as far as stylistically, right? Because, would we both agree that Amanda is definitely going to have the advantage in the striking department?
Yeah, well, doesn't Kayla Harrison have... No, wait, no, never mind. That's judo that she's got, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was kickboxing for a bit. Then yes, okay, that changes my perspective. Is that once you get the striking of it, I would give Amanda Nunes that part. But we got to remember that Kayla's world-class judo. So if she gets in close, I can see this favoring her, especially with how strong that she is.
See, and I was hoping that you would lead us into this, because this is what makes this fight so compelling. It's the ultimate striker versus grappler, right? Like, Amanda can grapple. I believe she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, although to me she's not she's not a very high level black belt. Like, I'm just not terribly impressed with that part of her game, but she's capable, right? She's capable. But Kayla is, I believe she's either an Olympic judo champion.
Yes.
So it's like you said, if she can get Amanda into the cage, Amanda's going for a ride. She's gonna fly. And it's gonna be like a head and arm takeover, or like, it's gonna be like an Atoshi, right? Like either Tayatoshi or Ogoshi, like one of these like hip throws, and Amanda's gonna be on her back. And Kayla's going to be inside control. And Kayla is incredibly strong for that division, dude. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to do it. I was going to bring it up, but I'm not going to bring it up cuz it's not that it hasn't been proven. There's never been any, but let's just say there are rumors out there, and let's just also say she's incredibly strong for the division. She cuts a lot of weight to get down to 135, and so she's going to have the advantage not only in the takedown and possibly the grappling department, but also in the strength department. I just don't see a world or a scenario where Amanda is able to outmuscle Kayla. Do you?
No.
So
that's a quick answer to that one.
So then that makes this fight super interesting, doesn't it? Because it's like, who is going to be able to impose their will on the other? Is Amanda going to be able to keep Kayla from taking her down and just blast her out of there because Amanda has got some fucking hands, bro. Like, she leaves her chin open at times, but I don't think she's in any danger of getting knocked out on the feet by Kayla. Kayla just doesn't have the technical boxing skill, right? But Amanda has some fucking hammers, dude. For a woman, like Amanda has, I would even, I don't usually say things like this because I'm not one of those guys that's like, or one of those MMA fans who's like, yeah, Ronda Rousey totally could have beat some of the dudes, It's like, no, she fucking couldn't. But I will say this. If Amanda Nunes was to punch a regular dude in the face, I fully believe she could knock a dude out. Not an MMA fighter, but just a regular dude, right? Like you or me, maybe. We have a huge weight advantage, but especially if it's like a guy her weight and her size.
Oh,
I fully believe she could melt a dude, right? Not every girl can do that. Mm-hmm. Not every girl can melt a dude, like physically melt a dude, right? I do believe she could do that. So I believe that if she can connect with Kayla, she could melt her, right? But she has to connect before Kayla gets her into that cage and starts working that crotch game, like getting down into the locking the arms, working the clinch game to work on trips and throws. So, yeah, dude. So what do you think about, who are you riding with in this fight?
I'm probably, if I got to pick, I'm going with Kayla Harrison because I've seen a lot more of her fights than I have Amanda Nunes. So to me, Amanda Nunes, yeah, I've seen, I think, a couple of her fights because I just had got back into it and all that. So I have more of a familiarity with Kayla Harrison. So that's who I'd like to see. And with how dominant she's been, I'd love to see her get that kind of win over somebody that I've heard of is almost like a boogeyman.
It's not almost. Amanda has been the boogie woman of the women's bantamweight division. Really, all of the, nobody wanted to fight Amanda for a good amount of time because she was just knocking everybody out. She's a legit, like I said, no disrespect to Amanda. She's a legit legit fighter. But she's coming off a 2-year roughly retirement. That was after she had just lost to Juliana Pena and then came back and won her title again. But there were already questions about her training, like how hard she was training and how serious she was taking it. Because, just like Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the world famous and Hall of Fame boxer once said, it's hard to get out of bed and go run when you're waking up in silk sheets. Amanda has made millions of dollars. She's financially secure. Her and her wife have a daughter, and I think they're adopting another baby. So she has a family.
So life is good for her right now and doesn't have that insatiable hunger.
Well, that's what we're going to find out, right? Amanda is a competitor. Like, has the time away from the cage reignited her fire, her passion? We'll find out. But and one other thing that I would throw out there is, yes, Kayla Harrison has been extremely dominant, but it was in a different organization with a lower level of opposition, right? But she did look very impressive against Juliana. There was not a single moment in that fight where you could say like Juliana was in the fight or like had a chance. She wiped her down. So she's not going to do that to Amanda, I don't think, though. I don't think what I mean by that, I'm not saying she can't win or she won't win. I'm saying she's not going to wipe her down like that. Amanda is a world-class competitor. I expect this fight to go somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 rounds, and it's going to be a hard 3 rounds. Or, I see this fight ending in one of 2 ways, only one of 2 ways. Either Amanda is just going to knock her the fuck right out, like, because Kayla's chin hasn't really been tested. Like she, in the UFC at least, she hasn't been hit by somebody like Amanda. So we don't know, like, if Amanda can knock out Cyborg, whose chin has been tested, right? Then that's a question. Or I could see Kayla just absolutely just strangle fucking her, dude. Like, just taking her down repeatedly and gassing her out. Because one thing that Amanda does not have is a world-class gas tank. Like, Amanda gasses in fights regularly. And when she slows down, that's your opportunity, right? So if I'm Kayla, I'm looking to extract all the juice out of her right away. Like in that first round, I'm putting her on the cage and I'm laying on her, making her carry my weight all around the cage, dude. The second round, same thing. Oh, you thought it was going to be different? No, I'm coming out laying on her. By the third round, Amanda's not going to be able to lift her arms, dude. She's going to be so tired from having to carry Kayla's weight. And I think Kayla could finish the fight. That's why I said I could see it going 3 rounds. To me, it's a submission victory for Kayla in round 3, or it's a knockout somewhere in the first 3 rounds for Amanda. But what do you think?
I personally think that this one is probably going to go the distance in my mind with a clash of fighters of this caliber. And like I said, I only have a couple of fights experience with Amanda Nunes to base this off of, but I'm also putting in the fear of her that she struck in the division that I've heard about for a bit. I am going to go with Kayla Harrison because I'm going to be biased here and straight up admit that I'm picking the one I like more. But that is also because of how dominant that I have seen her be in the ground game. And like you said, all that body weight is going to be a hell of a lot to handle, whether it is up against the cage or she's not fully laying and praying, because we see Kayla work on the ground a lot, but pretty much that she's going to be wearing her the whole night.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I'll also throw out there, they weigh in at 135, but Kayla will not be weighing
24 hours
135 on
beforehand.
fight night. Yeah, Kayla will not be weighing 135 on fight night. Kayla will be weighing 165 on fight night. So that matters, dude. That extra 10 pounds, like that, because Amanda's going to rehydrate too, right? She'll rehydrate somewhere into the high 150s, maybe. But Kayla's going to be 8 to 10 pounds. I would expect 8 to 10 pounds heavier on fight night.
Speaking of the rehydrating, do they still allow them to do the IVs, or has that been banned now?
No, IVs.
But they will. I mean, Islam got away with one in Australia against Alexander Volkanovski. He didn't get caught, and there was rumors that he used an illegal IV, but it wasn't proven per se. Even though Alexander Volkanovski literally got one of the nurses who actually administered the IV to say that she did, but the UFC just sort of swept it under the rug. But yeah, so IVs are not legal, but Kayla's gonna rehydrate big time, dude. And one of the bigger questions for this fight, I was mentioning it last week, is how dead does Kayla look on the scale? Because she has to kill herself to make 135, dude. And she's not young. Kayla's like 37, dude.
Ooh.
Like, it's not easy. No, I'm not saying she's old, like she's washed up.
No. I get what you're saying, that it takes so much more for your body to recover at that age, to drain it that far down. Because what a lot of people don't realize is these fighters are bringing themselves to death's doorstep for these weigh-ins. They are pretty much a push away. Like you lose a little bit more fluid and you're going to die of dehydration type of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dehydrating themselves damn near to death to make weight. And so Kayla did not look good on the scale for Juliana. She did not look healthy. She did not look good, dude. She looked like she was on death's door. Is she going to be able that same? Is the weight cut going to go the same way? And she said that the weight cut went well. Like, it's like, if that's going well, then what if she has a bad weight cut, right? Like, so let's hope that she's been working on her weight already, and that the weight cut will go good, that she's not going to try to cut 30 pounds in one day, or even 20 pounds, or cut 30 pounds fight week. She should try to cut, I would feel comfortable with her cutting somewhere in the 15-pound range, for fight week. Cut 15 pounds in a week. In the last 5 pounds, let's say, in the last 24 hours. But yeah, dude. So that's another question for this fight, because if the weight cut doesn't go well, Kayla's not going to have that strength, right? She's definitely not going to have the gas tank. And there's also, remember we were talking about this before, when you dehydrate yourself to that point, your chin is also suspect, because you don't have that cushioning in your brain, that liquid cushion. Like, you can get knocked, you're more susceptible to knockouts. So Kayla, the biggest part of this fight for Kayla is going to be on the scale and in the rehydration, right? In my opinion, if she can nail the scale and nail the rehydration, I'm picking her to win. But it's not a guarantee that she's going to nail the scale and nail the rehydration, right? And then we have the main event. Let's get to that because we only have 10 minutes left.
We got Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett.
Oh boy. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I am expecting this one to be a barn burner, because we usually will see Paddy Pimblett come out there and try and do the stand-up for a bit until he gets his ass rocked. And then that's when he goes into jiu-jitsu mode. Justin Gaethje is a hell of a stand-up fighter and has a decent amount of power behind those fists. Is it going to be a spot where you don't even get to get rocked to go into your jiu-jitsu mode? We're just going to bypass that and put you to sleep. Now, if Gaethje doesn't knock him out and it goes to the ground, I think there is a drastic advantage for Pimlet versus Gaethje on the ground.
I totally agree. But I will say, I think Patty's striking has come a long way. His striking against Michael Chandler looked very crisp and sharp, and he was using his length, which is, Patty is tall for that division. So he's got long legs, long limbs, and I was glad to see him use that against Chandler, right? Is he going to be able to use that against Gaethje? Because Gaethje is one of the underrated parts of Gaethje's game is his footwork and his movement, right? His head movement. Like, he's not Max Holloway. He's not as good of a boxer as Max Holloway is, right? Max Holloway is probably the best boxer in the UFC, technical boxer, right? But Gaethje, ever since he started working with, I think it's with Trevor Whitman in Colorado, ever since he started working with Trevor Whitman, because I don't know if you were watching the sport or if it was during your hiatus when Justin Gaethje came into the UFC.
Yeah, I maybe seen one fight of his beforehand. I saw at least one fight of his because I was vaguely familiar with him once I came back into it.
Hey, what's up, Jax? We're talking about Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett on the UFC 324 card coming up in a few weeks. It's the main event. It's for the interim lightweight title. So Gaethje, when he first came in, he was a do or die fighter. Like, it was like, either I'm going to sleep or you're going to sleep. There is no in between, right? And then, yeah, I totally agree. So Trevor Whitman started training Justin Gaethje, and he was like, hey, dude, you have this incredible talent. You have great leg kicks. You have punch power. Why don't we teach you to move your head a little bit so that it's not you get knocked out or this guy gets knocked out. It's you can knock this guy out. And Gaethje was like, hey, yeah, why not, right? So ever since Trevor Whitman started working with Gaethje's footwork and his technical boxing has improved leaps and bounds, dude. And I would just say, don't take that Max Holloway fight as don't take my word for it based on, if you're going to look at that fight, that's not the one to look at, right? Because Gaethje got his nose broken early in the fight. And he was compromised from that point on. Go back and watch his other fights, like against Fiziev. Like, Gaethje's boxing, his technical boxing has greatly improved, dude. Against Dustin Poirier, who was also a really great technical boxer, a really hard-hitting guy. Gaethje can fight technical, dude. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So don't use that fight to judge Gaethje's stand-up. I do believe Gaethje has an advantage in the stand-up with the technical boxing, but I think that Paddy could negate some of that by using his length, by using push kicks, by using side kicks, leg kicks, staying at range and using your longer legs, you taking advantage of that. Also, I think Paddy is much taller, so I would try a flying knee at some point if I'm Paddy. I would throw a flying knee in there. Just, even if it's just to the body, like, I would give it a shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about that if I'm Paddy Pimblett, if it's to the body. I don't know if I want to take that risk of leaving myself exposed against a striker like Gaethje going for the flying knee if there's a way that he happens to see it coming.
Yeah. The thing with a flying knee, though, is he might see it coming and he's going to move. He's going to avoid it, but it doesn't leave you like super wide open, exposed to like it would, in my opinion, it would be pretty hard to like land a counter shot while the dude is in the air with a full. Kind of hard to land a counter shot that's going to knock the dude out.
Yeah, but that's if it's in the air. As soon as he lands, he's wide open because now you got to re-brace yourself from landing. Granted, we're talking split seconds of timing here, but Gaethje is the kind of striker that we have seen be able to take advantage of split seconds of timing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm trying. I have a hard time envisioning it as far as in the air, but you're right. When he lands, there is that split second. But I don't think that Patty's going to want to stay standing up with Gaethje the whole time.
Nor do I. I'm just kind of walking the dog here a little bit.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think Patty, it's the ground is definitely his world in this fight, and I think he's going to want to get it there. The question is, how does he get it there? Like, Justin Gaethje, as quiet as it's kept, is a pretty decent wrestler too. Like you don't see it much from him as far as his offensive wrestling. He used to use it a little more, but he doesn't really use it anymore. But his defensive wrestling, I guess we'll find out if Patty tries to put him on the cage, right? So who are you picking for this fight?
I love both fighters in this one. They are both extremely entertaining to watch. But give me Pimlet, because I'm hoping we get the fucking grudge match after.
I love Justin Gaethje, man. I love his warrior spirit. I think he's everything good about MMA. And I worry for him because he's taken so much damage. I worry, like, he's already starting to like slur a little bit. It's not good. I would like to see, if Justin loses this fight, I would like to see him retire.
And I think he will.
I'm going with Patty simply because it's going to go to, I think it's going to go to the ground at some point, and that jiu-jitsu is going to take over. And like you, I'm thinking beyond this fight already. I got Ilya versus Patty. Like, that grudge match needs to happen, because there's times where the UFC builds up a fight and they make pretend beef, right? Like, oh, these two guys really don't like each other, but then they're hugging and kissing in the press conference, and after the fight, they're kissing each other on the head in the octagon. This is not one of those fights. Like, there will not be any hugging or kissing or handshaking in this fight. Like, before the fight, in the pre-fight press conference, in the post-fight press conference, there's actually a chance that there could be a fight in the post-fight press conference.
It wouldn't shock me with these two, because they absolutely hate each other's guts. And this is a full-blown personal level at this point.
Sometimes those make the best fights, don't they? When you know that these two guys just absolutely hate each other, dude. I mean, I can imagine it, because Ken and I have had this conversation before, and I like Patty because of his length. If he uses his length effectively, I like his chances. But that's for another time, because we're out of time. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Come back next week. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the club. Tell a friend, man. And we want to thank you guys. Can you say before we go out?
Nope. Other than it's glad to be back with you guys, or it's good to be back with you guys. And we will see you all next week at the exact same time.
Yeah, yo, it's game time. Ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports. Just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken. Stay calm.